As usual, my name's Ronan.
And I am Kirk.
We are the usual suspects.
This is starting bad so fast today. Okay, so yeah, let's go balls out. Okay, so we are the usual suspects, I suppose. And this week we watched The Usual Suspects. I said this to you a minute ago, and I'm going to let you do your rundown, but it's so awesome. So my generation, I'm 38 years old. I was young when this movie came out. I was 12 or 13. I saw this movie for my first time when I was like 16 or 17 because I didn't see it in theaters because I was just smidgen too young. So this movie came out, but there is no one my age and up to about 8-10 years younger than me that doesn't know about Kaiser Soze, doesn't know the twist, doesn't know the limping shot. Yeah. It has been homaged and or stolen by dozens of movies. So it's been, and I mean that I make fun of people's age all the time. It was awesome finding someone that was interested and educated and a fan of movies, but was truly uninitiated in the Verbal Kint Kaiser Soze switch. Watching you watch that was awesome. But anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's kick this off right. Tell me about The Usual Suspects.
Okay, well, I'm not going to do the same joke
Nope,
again.
Nope, don't do that.
Okay, so we start off, like they're convicted of like a crime, and they just get put in a jail cell. And at first, I thought it was going to be like 11 Angry Men or 12 Angry Men.
Okay.
Where it was just all like in that same room, but like just like going back and forth, seeing who actually did the crime.
Sure.
But to my surprise, most definitely was not like that movie.
No, it was not. It was not like that at all, was it?
No, it was not.
So, but tell me about the movie. Like movie came out in what year, directed by who? Like for those of you that have never heard of The Usual Suspects, walk me through it. Tell me about The Usual Suspects.
So it was produced by Bryan Singer, written by Christopher McGuire.
Christopher McGuire, yep.
Yes. And stars Kevin Spacey, Gabriel Byrne.
Kevin Spacey, Gabriel Byrne, Chaz Palminteri, Kevin Pollak, Stephen Baldwin, Benicio del Toro. I am missing one of them. Which one am I missing?
I don't know. You named all of the ones on my sheet over here.
No, The Usual Suspects was 5 people.
I know.
Benicio del Toro, Kevin Pollak, Stephen Baldwin, Gabriel Byrne, and Kevin Spacey. Never mind. Then the actors are the cops are Dan Hedaya and Chaz Palminteri, and that pretty much rounds out the famous people. I mean, there's lots of other actors, but like the famous people are rounded up with them.
So basically, it's a retelling of the crime that they did afterwards.
Yeah.
Where, Verbal is telling the head chief or
sergeant. What I love about this is that Chaz Palminteri is not a cop in this. Like, we've all seen the story. So first, yes, it starts off with a trope that we've all seen. It starts at the end, and the entire movie is, how did we get here?
Yes.
And it's telling the story. It's not a flashback, but what's a flashback? It's a how did we get here? And we've all seen this trope done by he's in a police interrogation room. Verbal Kint was not in a police interrogation room, and Chaz Palminteri is not a cop. He's a customs enforcement agent. They've already been released by the cops. This was customs, let us get an hour with him. Like, let us just talk to him, which was an interesting twist. Bryan Singer did a twist on the trope. It's still a trope. There's still wanted posters behind the guy, but it was a twist. So it starts out with a twist already with this. It's an adaptation of a standard trope. But continue with your
synopsis.
Continue with your synopsis. The Usual Suspects. For those that are just joining in, hello, my live viewers. For those who are watching on YouTube in the next day or so, we are also starting to do this on TikTok Live. I am Kirk the Creative. If you want to follow me there, creative. Anyway, but continue with your synopsis.
So like I was saying, he's just telling the story or like restating what happens. Kind of.
Sure.
Because
don't. We'll get to the end. We'll get to.
Okay.
But Verbal Kint, played by Kevin Spacey, is a gentleman with cerebral palsy talking to Chaz Palminteri, the head of the customs enforcement, about the giant kerfuffletude That's a word.
Of course it is.
Kerfuffletude's a word. The giant kerfuffletude that occurred on the Los Angeles docks last night. A giant boat is set on fire, and one of the biggest and coolest lines by Chaz Palminteri is, how did this thing go wrong with everyone died looking for $90 million worth of dope that wasn't there? Mm-hmm. So the entire plot is figuring out how this thing that you open the movie seeing, how it happened and what happened.
Yeah.
Because all we know is that it was a big-ass boat that went down over drugs, that there's no evidence the drugs existed.
Yeah.
So, again... what did you heard of this movie? Like before last week when I said next week we're watching Usual Suspects, what did you heard of this movie?
Well, basically I was just looking at like the producer, writer, and like big stars, and I was looking at like the different types of movies that they've been in and shows. Like, oh, they've been in like Avengers: Infinity War, X-Men, like End of Days, Hereditary, Seven, Superman. So I was like, oh, it's gonna be like heavily actioned.
Oh.
No.
Well, no, and like we've been watching for the last 6 weeks, 5 weeks now, we've been watching film noir. And the coolest thing about film noir is that it's not... There was a few little brief action moments, but this is not an action movie.
It's not.
This movie takes place over long, relatively boring conversations.
Yes, it does.
In fact, the entire movie is one extremely long, boring conversation told by a guy with a lisp. Like... But before that, not after I told you to look it up, before I told you to look it up, what have you heard of Usual Suspects? I mean, we're 20 years different, and like, you're 20 years younger than me. I grew up with The Usual Suspects. Everyone knows how The Usual Suspects ends.
Yeah.
What had you heard of The Usual Suspects?
Nothing.
You'd never heard of the movie?
No.
It wasn't even like Gone with the Wind, you'd heard of it but never seen it. You'd never heard of The Usual Suspects.
I have not, no.
I'm sorry, Mr. Singer. I'm sorry. I apologize. What is the education system coming to? So let's start with, did you like it as a movie?
I mean, like I was battling with this question back and forth while I was watching a movie. I was like, I really want to.
Okay.
I just don't think it's my type of movie.
Let's dig into that. Why? Too slow? Too many F-bombs? Because there's several.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to name the channel, but I watch a lot of content like that on YouTube and things.
Sure.
But like that's not the bad thing. I think it is, a lot of it is too slow for me.
Okay. Interesting.
But like at the end, like, well, with like the sound design, how shots were, that's why I really wanted to like it.
Tell me about the shots. What was different about the shots?
Oh, like you saw like a lot more like low angle looking up.
Yep.
Like instead of like over the shoulder, it was more like under the shoulder.
Under the shoulder, yeah. There was lots of. There's also a lot of what's called Dutch angle, which is to say, I don't know why it's called Dutch angle, but it's a canted. It's a candid camera. Yeah, canted camera, not a candid camera. Very different.
True.
So you didn't, again, no judgment here. I mean, it's a classic of cinema, but I don't like Casablanca or Gone with the Wind. So no judgment here. I am a film student that doesn't like Casablanca. I am a film noir lover and film student that does not like Casablanca. So no judgment, but you didn't like it in general.
Well, it's not like I didn't like it per se. I just don't think it's my style.
Sure, that's fair.
Because I think I tend to more like go more to like the action-packed movies, things like that.
So sad. I don't like things that make you think. I just want it in my face.
Or do you like those kind of movies?
So this is the fifth in our film noir series.
Yes.
But you liked Brick.
Yes.
And you liked Lucky Number 11.
Yes, I did.
And you liked Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yes.
Okay. They're all quintessential neo-noirs. This is a quintessential neo-noir.
Yes.
This one was just slower?
Yeah.
What makes them different?
I was gonna say I like the twist ending on this one, which is like a lot more than the other ones.
Okay, well, yeah, this is probably one of the most famous twist endings. Like, other than M. Night, who kind of took the twist ending and beat it to freaking death, I will have to say that The Usual Suspects is probably one of the most famous twist endings in modern film history.
Yeah. Because at first I was like, oh, he's just a mysterious figure, and then I was like, maybe it is Keaton. Yeah. Like in like the final 30 minutes, I was like, maybe it is Keaton.
Oh, they go out of their way to sell you that it's Keaton.
Yes. And then I was like,
if we are ruining The Usual Suspects, I'm sorry. But at the same time, it came out almost 30 years ago, so at some point it's not my fault. Continue.
But yeah, like when they're like, it's Keaton, I was like, I really want to go back and watch the movie again and see like the evidence behind it and things like that.
So you hadn't seen the movie before.
No.
You didn't like it particularly, and that's fine. But your homework is I need you to watch it again.
Okay.
Because watching it, knowing that Verbal's full of shit, changes the game, man. You're watching an entirely different movie because, like, this is one of those things, and we've talked about this on this show and in some private conversations as well, that when there's a twist ending, I'm down for it. But the movie better support the twist, which is why Now You See Me, worst twist in history, because nothing up to that twist supports it at all. Whereas this, when you watch it, everything supports the twist.
I see.
Everything, which is really easy to say because all of it's a lie, so it doesn't have to support it.
Yeah.
But what I mean by that is every interaction between Chaz Palminteri and Verbal Kint, which is one of the only two scenes that you know is real. 3. The opening scene with Kaiser Soze and Keaton, every scene with the detective and Verbal Kint, and the end with Kobayashi, we don't know his real name, Kobayashi and Kaiser Soze. Those are the only 3 scenes in reality. And everything in the movie, in those 3 scenes, is absolutely verified, and it lends itself to the twist. And when you get to the twist at the end, so go back and watch, even if you just fast forward because everything else is a lie, go back and watch those interactions. They're hysterical. His watching where his eyes move, watching what his mouth does, some of the shots, because we've already talked about Dutch angles and low angles.
Yes.
Bryan Singer knew the ending. He knew what he was going to be doing, and he played into that with the shots, and they were freaking beautiful.
I see. Yeah, because you said, like, before we watched the movie that, like, the rest of the cast had no clue what the ending was.
Right. I don't know about Verbal. I think that Kevin Spacey knew, but no, they didn't.
It would make sense.
They did not tell.
Wow.
Because if Keaton knew, if Gabriel Byrne knew that Kevin Spacey was faking it, it's just like today. Today when you got here, I was doing an interview. I had a guy here, and I was doing an interview in an official military capacity, but I was not in uniform. And I even mentioned to them, I was like, I'm not in uniform today for a reason. And that is that you don't get a choice. If you can know that I'm in the Army all day long.
Yeah.
You can know my rank, you can know my job, you can know that this piece is for the Army. But if I'm in uniform, you're going to talk to me differently.
Makes sense. I see that.
And even as like, well, they're trained actors. If Gabriel Byrne knew that that Verbal Kint was faking it, he's going to play that differently. And so nobody knew. Again, I think Kevin Spacey knew, but I do not know that.
Yeah, it would make sense if you knew.
Yeah. For the same reasons, he needed to know.
Yes.
He needed to know.
Of course. But, like, kind of going on that, you were talking about how, like, several moments in the movie were, like, unscripted, or, like, they kept it in there even though...
There was a bunch.
Yeah. I think, like, after you said, like, that first part was unscripted, I was just like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this was unscripted as well.
So there's a few big ones. One is that when you watch it, what was supposed to be a dark, gritty crime drama, what was supposed to be the usual suspects lined up against the wall, all of them chiseled jaw and grill. This levity of these 5 guys just like laughing, it kept making Bryan Singer really, really angry. But they couldn't stop laughing. They just thought it was hysterical. They thought that someone told a joke and it just was infectious. And I'll tell you, Bryan Singer was wrong. That was the absolute correct way. To have these 5 convicts just thinking it was hysterical was correct because they're hardened criminals. They're not. He wanted it to be this tense moment, and that was having it be a tense moment for 5 usual suspects is wrong.
Yeah.
They knew they were going to beat it. They were fine. And that's really cool.
Yeah, I really like that part. Like, it just really sold the deal.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's what I was going to say.
The next one is Benicio del Toro's accent of being unintelligible was not directed. In fact, not even at all. Like, they got all the way through, like the first day of shooting. That the lineup was the first day. That's what they shot first.
Yeah.
And Bryan Singer was like, he walked over to Benicio del Toro off on a cut and walked over and was like, so are you going to talk like that the whole time? And he's like, yeah. He's like, okay, just making sure. So yeah, he was like, he didn't think that as the director he should be asking the actor why he was talking that, like he should be telling the actor, but he walked over and he's like, as long as you're going to do it the whole time, and he's like, no. And so that was not directed. It was not written. It was not in the tech. Benicio del Toro just really felt that this guy should have like the thickest, like unintelligible accent, and he just leaned into it.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, I kind of liked it. I kind of like the accent.
It definitely changes a lot.
Yes.
It changes the thing. The next one is the Stephen Baldwin, Kevin Pollak tension was real. It's not, even if you watch the movie, those tense moments, everyone has these little tense moments. Yeah. Every two people have these tense moments, but the Kevin Pollak, Stephen Baldwin ones are way, way worse. If you look at them objectively, they're not written worse. They just are worse. And the reason they are worse is that, I don't know why, but they've talked about it in interviews even. Kevin Pollak and Stephen Baldwin like hated each other. And they did not get along, and it transmitted onto the screen. It transmitted into real life, and it worked to have this little
rivalry.
Yeah, this little sibling rivalry, if you will. Not that great. Stephen Baldwin needs another sibling rivalry. So,
but you know if that's like because of something that happened before the movie?
I don't know. So like all I heard an interview with both of them talking about The Usual Suspects, and all Kevin Pollak would say was like, I don't know if Alec just stole his lunch too many times, that he's just, but he is such a, and he just called him all these really derogatory. He's like, he's such a jackass. He's such a, and likewise, when Stephen Baldwin was asked about it, he's like, yeah, Kevin was a piece of shit from day one and just was a piece of shit through the end. Like, yeah. So was one of them like a method actor and just, I don't know. But the tension between them that you watch in the film is not fake. It's very much between those two individuals.
Yeah, I see.
The next one of when Redfoot, I believe his name is, flicks the cigarette and it hits Kevin Pollak, I believe, in the face, or Benicio del Toro in the face. He's like, mother, 100% not scripted and not intentional. It was an accident. He was just trying to flip the cigarette and he hits him in the face, and you see this beautiful, like, sparky glow flash. Yeah. And it made the moment. Mm-hmm. It made the moment, but it was not scripted nor intentional. It was just captured beauty.
Yeah.
And then the last one, it might be the last one. There's another one. There's a lot of little hidden Easter eggs that if you've watched this movie through 35 times, you'll start to catch.
So basically, what you're saying is that even though right now I feel like I really wanted to like it, but I feel like it was just like a little bit too slow, that if I watched it again, I might tend to like it. Or
no, there are movies that are important to appreciate. There are movies out there that, okay, confession time. I don't like Gone with the Wind, but that's because it's a terrible film. I don't like Casablanca because I just don't get it. And I don't like The Godfather. I know, I'm sorry. I'm a filmmaker that doesn't like that's the holy trinity of classic cinema. I do, in fact, love Citizen Kane, however, which I enjoy non-ironically. Lots of people are like, I appreciate it, but it's so boring. No. I have watched Citizen Kane for recreational purposes on many occasions. I enjoy Citizen Kane. It's like the original There Will Be Blood. There Will Be Blood is just basically like a remake of Citizen Kane. They just didn't call it that.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying you're going to like this movie if you watch it again. I'm saying that an appreciation for what a 26-year-old, I believe that's what a 26-year-old Bryan Singer did, working with an all-star cast, hitting way outside of his weight class. What he did with this film, you don't have to like it, but you really do need to appreciate. It's just unbelievable in significance to modern film history. Because, like, again, I don't like Casablanca, but I appreciate that it's like, no, it's not Bogart at its best. Maltese Falcon is Bogart at its best. I just don't like that movie. Just don't.
I mean, like I said, I really wanted to. Like, there's some, like, especially with the sound design.
Yeah.
I really like the sound design. And, like, the abnormal shots.
Yeah.
Like, there's one of them of the plane coming down where, like, you would see it coming down and then it would just, like, jump a couple feet.
Yep.
Like, that's something you don't see a
No.
lot either, but I just really enjoyed that too.
Atypical editing, absolutely. Atypical shooting, absolutely. The sound design was really, really weird. The acting choices, again, were not as much Bryan Singer's control as the actors. He couldn't. That is one of the best parts of being I was a young and experienced director,
Yeah.
and you can get an actor that really carries the film for you, who makes your job super easy. But there's also, you get actors who don't respect the fact that you don't know what you're talking about because you don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And so in many ways, these actors just ran away. They were like, "Oh, that's cute, director. You sit on there. We'll be over here, making a movie."
Yeah.
And in some ways that did make the movie, and in other ways, it's probably not the movie that Bryan Singer intended. But in every way that I know about, the laughing, the accent, it turned out for the better.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
So talk to me more. So you didn't see the end coming at all?
No, I did not.
Okay.
And at first I thought, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
If
Again,
not already,
if you have not seen The Usual Suspects, turn off this podcast now, or you may not want to watch this TikTok anymore. But yeah, we're gonna spoil the end, but it's a 28-year-old movie. Continue.
Like I said, 15, 30 minutes before the ending, I thought it was a totally different guy before just a mysterious figure. And then it was the guy that he was talking to. Did not see that whatsoever. I also didn't see that the story was going to be fake or made up.
Right.
I just thought of it on the spot like that.
Right.
Like,
so this is something that I had thought of in this viewing of it.
Yeah.
Like I've seen the movie half a dozen times. This is not one of those movies I've seen 1,000 times. I've seen it 6-8 times in 30 years, 25 years. It had never occurred to me how utterly brilliant Kaiser Soze was.
oh yeah.
Because the goal of Verbal Kint, the goal of Kaiser Soze through this story was to do exactly what he did, and that was to implicate Keaton. But the stupid man way of doing that would be Verbal Kint going in and going, "It was Keaton, it was Keaton, Keaton was Kaiser Soze, he's dead now, he's a Kaiser." Like, the stupid route was to put it all on Keaton, and then have Keaton be dead, and then walk away scot-free.
Yes. In this movie, you didn't really see that Keaton could be Kaiser either.
No, they did not sell that. I mean, Chaz Palminteri near the end, I mean, he really does. He lines up all the pieces. Yep. Verbal Kint really had done a good job of making Keaton Kaiser Soze.
Kind of like the good guy.
Without making him Kaiser Soze. In fact, so much so that he leaves the room crying, saying, "It wasn't Keaton, it wasn't Keaton." The fact
he wasn't wrong.
That's true. The fact that he did that, though, the fact that he orchestrated this reality, he planted all the seeds in the Chaz Palminteri's brain, and he does it with literally a wall full of disassociated and random facts. He did it with all this just gobbledygook, and to be able to, and I understand that it's fiction, I understand that he didn't really do it in real life, I get this, but the fact that he orchestrated a narrative with disassociated facts, put them together on the fly, and still hit his goal of perfect. Chaz Palminteri thought it was Keaton. Now, to flip the script on that, he thought that for about 85 seconds.
Yeah.
But any other guy wasn't going to turn around. He did not count on the detective putting it together backwards.
Yeah, he did not.
Which, for the record, in real life, I don't know that anybody would. It was just so disassociated facts.
Yes.
But overall, I like this movie. It isn't like a sit down and watch 100 times thing, but you do need to see it twice to fully appreciate it.
I understand that, yeah.
I ask this every week, but I'm going to ask it again. I've now had you watch 4 true classics of film noir.
Okay.
Neo-noir, specifically. This is the oldest.
Okay.
Because this is 95, 94. I don't remember the exact year. Then we did Brick, 2005. We did Lucky Number 11, 2006. We did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, also 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
This is a genre you were unfamiliar with. You are now remarkably initiated in neo-noir, my favorite genre.
Okay.
Thoughts on the genre here?
Really like it. Really like the twist endings. That's why I really wanted to like this movie a bunch, because twist ending was key.
Oh, absolutely.
With this one, I just really like how facts were laid out. Really makes you think. I know I said that I don't really like this one because of like how slow it was. So I think like the best kind of genre for me is like kind of or like best kind of movie for me. It's not really want to say like an action-packed neo noir,
Sure.
but I don't know. I just really enjoyed Lucky Number 11.
There's not much action in that.
I mean,
Name one action scene other than the sex scene, which is a different kind of action. Different kind of action entirely.
yeah. First one that comes to mind in that movie was when he went to a Jewish person's house and like for like a gay kind of hangout way, but then
That is
Killed
one
him,
30-second scene, and it's
yeah.
an hour and a half into the 2-hour movie.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know why.
There's no
if
action.
It's like the plot. I
Lucky
don't
Number
know.
11 of the ones I've had you watch actually has Kiss Kiss Bang Bang has way more action.
That is true. Yeah.
Brick's about equal. These don't have it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I'd love to break down and unpack a little bit more. Again, no criticism here, but it's I would say they're all equally slow. I'd say they're all equally noir. They're all equally twist
Yeah.
endings. All of them, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Brick, Lucky Number 11, Usual Suspects. They all have a twist ending. They all have the same use of color. They all have different
That is
but
true, yeah.
similar use of angles. They are very, very formulaic in the neo-noir genre.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, I'd love to figure out what it was. And it might be something as simple as all the others were made from 2005 to 2010. This one was made a decade earlier.
Yeah.
This one truly is a solid generation outside of, and I'm wondering if it wasn't the stylings and the giant brick phones and the
I was like, I don't know, because I mean, one of my friends asked like what my favorite movie series was,
Mhm.
and I said The Matrix, and that's
2000.
I thought the first one was in the 90s. Was it not?
I think it was 99, which
Oh.
is pretty sure it was 9. It was either 99 or 2000. That's still
I
no.
see. Okay.
And for the record, it was a future dystopian set
Yeah.
in the like. Yeah, I don't know that counts.
I see.
Although it is a good. Are you excited about The Matrix 4 coming out?
I am, yes.
You shouldn't be. It looks stupid. No. I mean, I love Keanu Reeves, but the fact that they're making a John Wick 4, no, and a Matrix 4, no, is not acceptable.
I see.
Just gonna keep on cashing that check while it clears, I suppose.
But yeah, I like thinking about it. Like I don't know why. It's just I don't know.
So if you were to pick next week's movie, I've been schooling you for a few weeks in movies, and this is not show me another terrible film.
Okay. Yeah. No.
If you were going to school me on a movie that you wanted me to talk about, what
Okay.
movie would we be watching next week?
Another one that I like is Ford versus Ferrari.
I have not seen it. I would watch
Really?
that if you wanted to talk about Ford versus Ferrari. I have not seen it. It was on my list.
I'm down to watch it again.
Okay, let's do Ford versus Ferrari next
Okay.
week. But next week have a better movie. Not a better movie. Have a list, because
Okay.
I do have a list that I want to. But I want to get movies. I definitely want to find movies that you are super engaged and excited about.
Yeah, because I feel like like you mentioned like the time period and seeing if that was a correlation.
Yeah,
A lot of movies. I've probably watched like a lot of like new movies.
sure.
Like more like most of the movies that I've seen.
Uh-huh.
So yeah.
I might have to force so because it's interesting. I can watch, and this is so from a putting on my work hat for a minute and talking a little bit more my other side from a cognition standpoint. Watching a modern movie that is a period piece. If I were to give you a movie made during World War II, and then give you a modern movie made about World War II, even
1917.
World War II.
Oh, my bad.
So if I made you, because movies in 1917 didn't have sound, so
Oh no, I meant like the movie 1917.
again that would be World War
Yeah.
One.
I haven't seen that one either.
But if
Really
we were
wanted
to watch a modern movie about World War II,
Yeah.
and then watch a movie made during or just after World War II, remember when we had the conversation about cutting patterns and editing styles
Oh, yeah.
and things like there is a difference.
Mm-hmm.
There is a difference in the way they're cut. There's a difference in the way they're shot. There's a difference in the way they're acted. There's a difference in the technical style and skill. There's a difference in the way they're written. Even if you make them both PG movies, even if you take out the obscenities and everything, there is just a cognitive difference. And so I'm genuinely curious if the reason that this, if you were to make a modern movie, 2021, about the 90s, like The Big Short. Well, that wasn't about the 90s, that was about the 2000s. But you can, if we were to watch a modern movie set in the 90s versus a movie made in the 90s of the same general genre, I wonder how your reaction would be. Because I love The Usual Suspects. It feels very nostalgic and I grew up on it. But you didn't like the cutting pattern. Back to remember when I had you, and for the people that have been watching the show for a few months, when I had you schedule out and time out edits and cuts.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if it's a tempo issue. Not it's too slow, but if it's not on the right rhythm for you. It'd be an interesting question.
I was kind of thinking about that. Like I was kind of, not really, but kind of counting shots.
Sure. I never don't count shots. It's a problem. I never don't count shots.
I see. But yeah, it was only like 1 or 2 shots, so that's why I was like kind of, but not really.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I will say the biggest thing for me on this one, like especially with the counting shots, is that I always count down shots, and I've gotten to the point where I'm very, very good at it.
Yeah.
Until you throw me a foreign film. If you throw me a foreign film, I'll be wrong 70, 80% of the time because their rhythm is different than ours.
Talking about a foreign film, have you seen The Forest?
No.
You haven't?
No.
Oh.
Never heard of The Forest.
Might be another one that we have to watch.
Do I have to read it?
No.
Cool. I don't mind reading films, but they're just
I see.
they're an extra step. Yeah. Okay. We will certainly add The Forest. Well, what country?
Japan. It was the Japanese suicide forest.
Interesting. Is it a documentary?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. I'm down. You put my my filmmaker hat back on. Okay.
What I will say, another thing, one of the shots I really liked that was in this movie was, it was right when, was his name Klopsky or the name that was on the bottom of the cup?
Kobayashi.
When he was going to the meeting with Eddie, right?
Which one's Eddie?
The girl.
Oh, yeah. Edie.
Edie. And, like, I still have no clue how they do this shot. Maybe you can inform me, but the shot with the shadow, like, deepens the image enough that you can see Keaton's face and his reaction.
Oh, no, it's called flagging a shot.
Okay.
It's especially back then when they were shooting on film. Films just aren't shot on film anymore, which is sad. But especially with the way that contrast ratios work in film noir and contrast, when you're talking about a chemical process that is filmmaking, if you flag off a shot and just literally have something, a shadow come in like that across your face, like, is that working? What? Yeah.
Kind of.
Oh, there it is. So, especially if we were shooting on real film, that's going to drop the exposure by a full stop or two.
Yeah.
If I do that correctly, I can make it so that this shadow comes in and goes from "I see you fine" to really brings out the details. It's not a trick, but it is a technique of light used especially in the days where we were using celluloid film stock. It still works in digital. It's now usually enhanced.
Yeah, because it looked like it was from like a window or so.
Yeah.
Like the shot, and this might be like a bad thing. I know you talked about like counting shots.
Sure.
Things, but like whenever I watch movies or like documentaries or things or videos, I'm always like, can I recreate that shot? Can I, like, or like how did they do that shot? Or like,
sure.
Oh, I can easily do that shot. But yeah, that was like the one shot for like a little bit that I was like, I don't know how they did that.
Yeah, no, there are a lot of shots in this movie, specifically The Usual Suspects, that are not necessarily holy shit technically, like, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But they're still, like, nowadays, in that every movie is digital and everything is being done. Nowadays, there are so many shots that are, you can hide a cut. You can hide a cut anywhere. But remembering when this film was shot, that was not true. When I went to film school, that was not true.
Yeah.
Filmmaking and the arts, the tools, the techniques in my career has changed almost entirely. It's a different game. It's a different, yeah. It's just like if you, the saxophone wasn't invented until the late 1800s. When you listen to Mozart or old school, the saxophone isn't in the orchestra.
Yeah.
But the saxophone's a big part of jazz because it's the evolution. That's the best analogy. I learned classical music of Mozart and Bach, but nowadays it's all jazz. And there's tools that I understand them, but they are after my education. They're after my style, which again, it goes to this, I wonder if this is why you didn't like The Usual Suspects, is that it is being shot in a way that is 100% organic. There's no computers in this. There was no After Effects. There was no color.
Like CGI or...
No
anything.
CGI. The color grading was done with chemicals.
Yeah.
Literally done with chemicals, not a computer. And it makes the film feel different. It makes me love it. I'm wondering if that's one of the reasons you didn't like it, is it felt so different to you.
I'm not sure. But you also mentioned the cuts. That's another thing I want to point out, like the transitions.
The transitions were very different.
Especially with like the sound in the transitions.
Yeah, they did a lot of what's called a waterfall cut, a match and waterfall cut. And you still see those these days,
Okay.
but this film did it a lot. Where especially at the very beginning, you see Fenster say, he's talking to Fenster in the interrogation, and he says, "I want my lawyer," and the "I want the" or "I want my" was Finster's mouth and Kevin Pollak's voice, and you're like, and then it cuts to Kevin Pollak's character, whose name I've just forgotten, saying, "I want my." So it's called a waterfall cut, where you're using the audio of the next shot over the top of this one, and it's a weird kind of cognitive loopy development thing that it kind of pulls it along. It sometimes can make you a little uncomfortable. It sometimes can draw you in, and it's a way to. They do it a lot where there's a match cut. You and I are talking. Suddenly you hear a car door slam, and you're on the street. But you heard the car door slam in our scene, and you use that that audio transition to pull you in. It's called a waterfall or an L cut.
I see.
They're really cool techniques. This movie did a lot of them.
Yeah, well, I was gonna point out one, but then you just completely described what happened in the transition.
Which one?
The the noise of the paint can, and then you see the.
It was the same sequence. Yeah, it was the same sequence. You thought it was a gun until
I did think it was gunshots.
Yep. This movie uses cool audio transitions, match cuts, slam cuts, and L cuts a lot, and they're just really cool techniques that help the visual and auditory brain move the story along. And again, they are affectations of back in the day when all of this was done on a reel-to-reel. This wasn't...
Yeah.
This film was absolutely edited reel-to-reel. It wasn't done in Adobe Premiere or Avid. Well, they might have used Avid a little bit, but Avid would have only created what's called an EDL. It used to be that you got all your proxy files, and then you edited what was called an EDL, edit decision list, and then you sent that EDL, and they still literally edited tape with... They still edited the film.
Yeah.
All you did on a computer was to generate the EDL. We don't do that anymore. Now we edit the actual high-res 4K, blah, blah, blah.
8K, yeah.
Whatever. We do that now in the program. When the Red camera was invented in 2006, 2007, there was so much meat on that bone that nonlinear digital editing systems couldn't interpolate it. You couldn't edit digital footage because these systems were never meant to do that. They were meant to edit these small little things. They were EDLs. They were small digital. They were SD. We have finally got to the point where I can edit 8K video on my laptop, and I do. I edit my entire work. We do have an iMac with a stronger, but 99% of my editing, I'm editing in 4K on this laptop.
Yeah.
And that's new. So that allows me to do things that I could not have done when I was in film school 20 years ago. I couldn't have dreamed of it. I would have had to shoot differently.
Oh, yeah.
I would have had to have thought it out differently. I remember me and my friends trying to build bullshit Home Depot stabilization rigs and spending just as much as my gyro, my robo gyro that is accelerometer based. The game has changed so much. And back to say it the fifth time, I'm wondering if the lack of those tools, the film looks and feels differently, and I'm wondering if that's what you didn't resonate with it. Because by 2005, 10 years later, even though they were shot on film, they were still being edited non-linearly. There was a lot of digital in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, not so much in Brick. There was a lot in Lucky. There was a lot of color grading in Lucky Number 11, and that wasn't something you did even 10 years earlier.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you made the decision. So next week we are watching Ford versus Ferrari.
Yep.
I'm down.
Which was 2 years ago, right?
Sounds right.
19?
Right. Yeah. So what's fun is in my book I got to interview Frank Stevenson, and Frank Stevenson was the designer of the new the new Mini Cooper, because it's owned by BMW.
Yeah.
He was the designer of the Fiat 500. He was which is owned by Ferrari.
Yeah.
He has designed, he's designed for McLaren, for Ferrari, for BMW. He is probably one of the most prolific auto designers that is currently still alive and around. And we even kind of talked about the movie because it had just come out, but I had not seen it. He is, so I'll probably, it'll be interesting to watch this one, because whereas it does not feature him in any way, it's before his days. Through the process of writing my book, I ended up talking to a lot of auto designers and people about the golden era. So it's something that I'm interested to hear about. So,
well, since you mentioned like getting an era of a movie made today versus then,
right?
We might be able to do that with Ford versus Ferrari.
I absolutely think we will. So I'm going to take a look at it. Like, I know what it's about, but I'm going to look at the specific years that it's about, and I want to see if I can find a similarly genred film made in that era instead of one made about that era, and just see how you react to it. Because back then they'd have been using literal Kodak or Fujifilm stock, and they'd have been using. I mean, there's differences, so I'd be interested to see how that affects your opinion.
I was gonna say, if not that, then probably Hidden Figures. With another one.
Yes, I've not seen Hidden Figures either.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, for the last few years, I've been I've been watching a lot more long-form television as opposed to short-form movies. This is funny because my whole coming up, TV was short-form and movies were long-form.
Yeah. But
now that we've moved away from episodic and to full arc, now a 10-episode season is a really long movie. Where it used to be Star Trek The Next Generation, from episode to episode, changed very little. It was just episodic, lather, rinse, repeat. But now with the modern Breaking Bad kind of arcing structure, now TV is more of a longer form, and movie is a shorter form. You have a set amount of time to tell a story, and then there might be a sequel, but you have a set of time. Yeah.
Just like The Boys, too.
Yes.
Where each one is basically a movie.
Right.
Kind of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so this has been, what do you call it, Reels in the Round?
Yes.
Reels in the Round. I've been Kirk.
And I've been Ronan.
And next week we'll be watching Ford versus Ferrari, and looking forward to watching it with you.
Did you just say looking forward to...
Looking forward to what?
Like looking forward to watching with you?
Oh my gosh. No. You know how I didn't say that? Because I'm not you. I would not have made that joke.
I thought you accidentally said it, but...
Looking forward to watching Ford next week. No, didn't say it.